Okay, so now we are going to talk about 3D layers inside of After Effects. Now, let's select this our ellipse tool, for example, and by holding Shift, I'm going to create an ellipse. I'll press Control Alt Home. I can go to the Align tab, align it horizontally, and align it vertically. Now, if I press R over here, I can only rotate in two-dimensional space. But if you press F4 over here, you will get this option over here which is known as 3D, and if you click on it, as you guys can see, the dimension has been changed because right now this is a three-dimensional object. Similarly, you can see the orientation, rotation properties will get something like that. Similarly, if I hit P over here, now I have a X, Y and Z axis as well. Similarly, over here you can see we have this X, Y and Z coordinates, and with the help of that you can rotate it on different dimensions. Okay, so this is the concept of 3D layer. Now if you go inside this in contents properties, you will get normal options for ellipse. Then in transform options, obviously right now you have different options for one extra options, you can say, for Z axis as well. And over here you will get this option called geometry options and material options. Material options, obviously, cashier, etc, etc. uh, you will get different results for that if you decrease this value, increase this value. But for that there should be a light in our scene. We will talk about that later. But over here you will get this geometry options. If you click on this changer renderer, right now renderer over here is classic 3D. You can open the settings by hitting Control K as well, or whenever you create new composition by hitting Control N. In 3D renderer as well you can change the settings. Okay, so for this composition I can hit Control K. I can go to the render, and instead of classic 3D, if I choose cinema 4D, and if I hit OK over here, okay, let's disable this preview and try to hit OK. And now, if as you guys can see, we are getting very different options, and similarly this geometry option has been also enabled. Now let's select this and press R for rotation, and let's rotate it somewhere around like this. Now if I go inside this geometry options, I'll get some extra options like extrude depth. If I increase this, as you guys can see, I'm gonna get something like that. Similarly, bevel options as well as whole bevel depth, etc. Okay, for that we need to include light. Obviously we are going to talk about light in depth, but to just for this portion I'm going to add new, and let's type light and let's choose point light and hit OK. Okay, and I'm going to bring this point light over here, and let's try to bring this over here. Similarly, go inside this and let's make this intensity 150. So as you guys can see, we are getting this light over here and this one over here. We will talk about this in depth in next video, but right now just for our basic understanding I'm going to use that. So if you select this object, if you increase this bevel value, let's see what kind of changes we are gonna get. We will, if you see, the edges are getting a little bit better, and etc etc. Okay, so let's make this choose. Let's try to increase this value. As you guys can see, if I choose angular, I'm gonna get different results like that over here. But this kind of things are gonna make your file heavy, so I would prefer not to use that. So let's make this none. Okay, similarly in material options, you can adjust this ambient value, etc, diffuse value, etc. All of these are self-explanatory portion. You can try to play around with this, but to do that you need this kind of lights over here, so don't forget to add that, and then you can play around with this. Okay, so most of the time this section, specifically geometry options, we don't use it properly because there are not much more options provided by After Effects. For that we generally prefer to use 3D software or plugins like Element 3D. But if you want to create some basic or very basic 3D kind of structure, you can use this option as well. Okay, so let's press Ctrl K and I'll go to the 3D renderer, and I'm going to choose classic 3D only because I don't want any of this object. I'll delete this line as well, and I'll delete this as well. So Now with the help of this 3D options over here, we are going to create one cube with the help of that. So let's try to do that. I'm going to select my rectangle tool and I'm going to press Ctrl K and I'll change the background into white, and by holding shift I'm going to create one ellipse, not ellipse but rectangle. Let's select this and press Ctrl Alt Home to align that anchor point to the center. I can go to the align tab, align it horizontally and then align it vertically. Now over here we need to create a structure of box. So for that what we need to do, we need to adjust the anchor points, but before that we need to create all sides of the box. So for that what we can do, I can select this shape layer and I can hit Ctrl D and I can bring this over here. Now to properly snap at the edge there are two ways. Either make sure that your mouse pointer is over here, then select it, and by holding Ctrl I can adjust it like that. Similarly, I can select this, I can hit Ctrl D to duplicate. By holding shift, first I'll bring this over here, then by holding Ctrl I can snap it properly. Or I can select this, hit Ctrl D, and I can enable this snapping option as well. So what will happen with the help of that, it will properly snap at this point over here, and like that. Okay, so you can do this as well, like this. Okay, so let's select this, hit Ctrl D. Let's try to bring this properly over here. Let's select this, hit Ctrl D, and let's try to bring this over here. So all of this is ready, and now we need to adjust the anchor point of it, because we need to anchor point because we need to rotate it in proper axis. So what we can do, I can select this, I can select my pen behind tool, and I'll make sure that my snapping tool is on, and I can bring this over here. I'll select this, bring this over here, select this, bring this anchor point over here, select this, bring this over here, and bring this over here. Now if I can rotate it to create a box, and to see that properly, what I'm gonna do over here is that we need to convert this layer into 3D. So first of all, select all of them and convert those layers into 3D over here. And now over here, if you see, we have this option called active camera and one view or two view. Whenever we convert any 3D layer, we can get this option. Right now it's active camera. If I go to the front view, I'm gonna get different results. In left view, as you guys can see, we are getting left view. Similarly, in top view, we can see this from the top. In back, we can see this from the back, and active camera like that. And even similarly, we will get this custom view as well, so we can see from the parallel view. So right now what I'm gonna do, I'm going to select active camera. Then over here you will get this option called one view. You can choose two views as well. Similarly, you will get four views as well, in which this one is active camera, this one is right, this one is top, and this one is from front. Okay, but we don't want this much, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna choose two views over here. And for this one, which is right now in active camera, I'll keep it as it is. And for this one, which is right now default, I'm going to choose custom view. Okay, so I can see all of them from each and every angle. So I can select this over here and I can press R for rotation. And as you guys can see, I need to rotate it on Y axis. So I'm going to make it 90 degree. Similarly, I want to this, and this should be rotated, and this should be parent with this one. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select this one and I'll make it a parent with this layer, and I can press R for rotation because this portion is on plus 90. So obviously this one should be on minus 90. So I'm going to make it minus 90. Similarly, this one, which was the parent with this, I can press R and I can rotate it on minus 90 degree. Similarly, I can select this one. I can press R for rotation. I have to rotate it on x-axis, so I'm going to make it minus 90. I can select this one. I can press R and I can rotate it on plus 90. So as you guys can see, our cube is ready over here. And right now my cube is ready, so I don't need any of this. So I'll choose one view and I'll make sure that I'm in active camera. Okay, and I can press Ctrl K to open the project settings, and I can choose black color now. I can right click new and I can add light over here like this, Okay, but we are not going to get any of those structure because this is not our renderer is classic 3D. If I choose cinema 4D and I add bevel, I'll get different results. Or if I change this size, as you guys can see, intensity, based on that I'm gonna get different results. Okay, so let's make this intensity 70. Okay, now let's disable this parenting. We don't need any of that. If I go to the custom view, I can see my cube is like that because of our light. If I disable this, I'll get something like that. Okay, now I want to rotate this cube. So for that, what we need to do, we need someone to control the, now what we can say, rotation property of this entire cube. At that time you can right click new and you can create one null object, and you can convert that null object into 3D, and then you can go to the top view. You can bring this at the center of that box from the top. Similarly, you can go to the front view, you can adjust it from here as well. Then select all the shape layers and you can make it apparent with that null object. So what will happen, this null object, if I press P, this null object is going to be the controller of all of those. And if I press R, I can rotate this ball, not ball, but this cube with the help of this null object. So I can create one keyframe over on all of that. I can go to around, let's say, 6 seconds. I can make this 1 1 1 and I'll hit N. So now what will happen, I'm gonna get the rotation animation for this cube, and that is going to be in the form of loop. Okay, so this is how this 3D space works inside of After Effects. Obviously we are going to talk about in depth and we will learn how to use it creatively when we do our practical animations, but right now this is the only thing that you need to understand.